and our time is 7 o'clock, so we have to kick off immediately. If you can hear me, please indicate by raising your hand using the hand icon. All right, beautiful. So you guys can hear me. We're all welcome to class, and we want to try as much as possible to ensure that this um, webinar does not go beyond 1 hour. So I will be kicking off immediately. We are expecting quite a number of participants here, but we just have 20, maybe the African time mentality. But we'll continue nonetheless. And this class is being recorded, so just in case you have any issue, we will still upload the video later on. All right. So let me go ahead to share my screen. Like I said, this webinar is expected to be about an hour. Okay. So, all right. We're all welcome. Okay, so if you can see my screen, I'm just sharing my slide. If you can see my slide, the topic is become a web developer, the ultimate starter guide. If you can see this, can you indicate by raising your hand? Beautiful. All right, I'm kicking off. So we are looking at become a web developer, the ultimate starter guide. We want to look at what it means or how to start off a career, where you need to start off your career as a web developer. And for us to be able to do this, we're going to look at a number of things. And the person taking this class, your instructor for this class, is Okezie. Um, and this webinar is made free by Chidono Limited, a tech company that specializes in software development services, and you can see more about them at teamchidono.com. That's the company that is hosting this webinar. And your instructor for today's webinar is myself. My name is Okezie, and I happen to be a software developer, not just a developer as a career or as a skill, but I'm passionate about software development as in regards to coaching. I find myself more inclined towards the coaching aspect. I'm raising um, um, novices, first timers, intermediates, building them to become the developers they've always wished to become. So I specialize in um, simplifying software development as a um, course. I specialize in simplifying, in teaching it in such a way that people can understand. Usually, software development is made to look very hard and a difficult field to go into. Yes, it's actually hard, it's difficult to go into, but my teaching pattern over the years has proven to many as very effective to enter into the field and to do very well in it. Okay, so that's just a brief summary. This class is not about me, it's about what you can learn and what you can gain from this class. So I'm moving on to what we have to do today. What do we have to do today? All right, the agendas for today, just like we mentioned for those that saw the adverts for this class, the agenda, we are going to look at an overview of web development. We're going to look at the job roles in web development. We're going to look at the job role, standard, and professional requirements, then we're going to look at how a developer earns, how developers make their money, and how you can begin your career in any of these roles, right? So someone who wants to go into the web development needs to understand what web or want someone who wants to be a web developer needs to understand what web development is, and he needs to understand that a web developer is an ambiguous word. It's not just one person cannot just fully be called a web developer. There are different roles inside in web development. So we're going to explore that. We're going to look at what are the requirements for those roles. We're going to look at how they make their money, how much they earn, how to make your money, and how you, as an aspiring developer, can begin your career in any of these fields. All right, so the first thing we need to understand is who a web developer is. Who a web developer is. Before we can go further, who is a web developer? First of all, a web developer is someone who creates and maintains a website. This is the professional definition. A web developer is someone who creates and maintains a website. Why I use the word professional definition? Because actually this is the definition. You don't really tell this to a novice. This is something you explain to someone who kind of understands. Is someone who creates and maintains a website. Um, but I'm going to simplify the definition a bit so that other people can, or some of us who do not have an idea of the field in any way, can understand. So I'll say that a web developer is someone, that's a person, who is involved in the first one to know there is the design, in the creation and the maintenance of a website. So a web developer is someone who is involved. Now, this one is for the layman definition, so that maybe there are some things you know about web development before now, or a web developer before now, you are not very sure of. So I'm taking it from the parts where some people may be confused, but actually the first definition is the more standard or more professional definition. So but this one is what people can relate with. It is what it is, um someone who is involved in the design, creation, and maintenance of a website. That is who a web developer is. So when we say design, or okay, yes, so that just take note that we have design, we have creation, we have maintenance, we have website. These four terminologies is good to have an understanding about them. Okay, so first of all, I'm just okay. I dropped a link for those of us who were not able to join the last webinar. A link to the webinar of the last class. Maybe you were not able to go through it. Uh, I'm not going to go deep into some things in this, but I'm going to give a very brief explanation. For example, in the last webinar, we explained carefully what is the difference between a website or a web application. There is a major, or there's a significant difference between a website and a web application. You can go back to that link to see it. But generally in this class, I'm going to categorize both of them as the same thing. So I'm asking, what is a website or a web app? A website or a web app is a collection of web pages accessible through the internet viewed by a browser. So a website is any um, thing you search for on the internet using a browser. That's what a website or a web app is. It's important that we understand that before we talk about web development, because that's the key point here in our definition about a web developer, one who develops, who designs, creates, and maintains a website. So we are defining that a website is a collection of pages accessible through the internet viewed by a browser. Okay. So what's the difference between web design and web development? I also explained this extensively in the last webinar. I'm just going to list it out here. They both involve the process of building a website, and many times they are used interchangeably but do not mean the same thing. There's a significant difference between a web designer and web developer. While I use web developer to categorize all of them, is for the layman term, but as we go further, I'm going to be separating design and development. So the difference basically is that the
We have done
um,
this one before.
yes, I know. I'm just going briefly. Please mute yourself. You only speak when you have a question to remember the rules in class. I'm going to, some of us were not in the webinar last time, so I'm just doing this in the next 1 minute. Okay, so the difference between web design and web development is that the design is like the architecture of a building, while the development is the actual building of the website. When you go to build a house, you have a building plan that shows how many rooms the house should be, where the staircase should be, and how the house should be, the color, the shape, and all that. That's an architectural design. And in the same way, we have what we call the web design. And the web development is the actual building of the website, writing the codes to make the design to become what you see. So just like building the house. So that's the difference between web design and web development. Okay. So we want to see the roles in web design and development. Okay, so why I had to explain that, now we are using web design and web development. So when I say web design and web development, you understand what I mean. We now want to look at the roles in web design and web development. In the last webinar we rushed through it, but in today's webinar we're going to take time to understand them. So the roles in web development are inferred from the part or the structure of a website. So for you to understand the roles in web development, you need to understand the structure of a website. And what are the structure, or what is the structure of a website? We say a website is made up of the front end and the back end. And the front end is the side that the user sees and interacts with. Anything you can see in the website, when you open a website, you are browsing, for example, you are on which website? Let's say you are on a website where you signed up. All that you see physically here is the front end of the website. Okay, so that's part of the website. So we said that the website has the front end, and that's the part that the user sees or interacts with. Okay, and to be able to create the front end of a website, it involves writing code. So um, just like what you can see here, sorry, where's my mouse? Just like what you can see here, when you right click and go to view page source, you can see the code that's written to make this page to look the way it looks. This is the code that is written to make this page to look the way it looks. So behind every front end, behind how a website looks, are codes that are written. Okay, and to write those codes, we have some essential languages like HTML, which is the basic language used for the front end, the building block for the front end. We have the CSS, which is used to style the back end, sorry, which is used to style to make HTML look more attractive, more structured, more arranged. Okay. Then we have the JavaScript, which brings dynamism and interactive features into the front end of the website. So these are the major languages we see in the front end of the website. While the back end of the website, we are looking at the structure, contains the server, the database, and the application logic. These are the three key things you find at the back end. And all these things define the rules that we have um, in web design and web development. So these are some basic application logic languages. Okay, so I'm just glancing through this. If you want more details about this, you can go back to our previous webinar. The link is on the group to go through it properly. All right, so this generally now shows us the structure of a web site or web app. So we now want to discuss the roles in web design and web development. Now that we have understood the parts of a website, the structure of a website, let's see the roles in web design and web development. Okay, so we have the design rules. The roles of these are job roles for those who are involved in the designing. We have separated web design and web development. So these are the job roles for those who are in the design department. We have the UI designer, the UX designer, graphic designer, web designer. Then we have the development roles, those who are involved in the actual building of the websites, the building. The designers are the ones, they are like the architects of the websites. Please, if you are muted, if you unmute yourself, please mute yourself back. So the developers are the ones that are actually involved in the building of the websites, while the designers are the ones involved in the drawing of the plan of the website. Okay, the ones involved in the drawing of the plan of the website. While we have other related roles such as the project manager, the content strategist, the search engine optimization specialist, the quality assurance testers, and web analysts. So we're going to look in detail into some of these roles. We'll start with the designer roles. Okay. We take in this class, because of our time, we focus basically on these two. While graphic designer and web designer, will still talk a little bit about them. But generally, like I said, they are designer roles. They are involved in the design of the website. Okay. So let's look at the UI designer. So the UI designer, user interface designer. What is the role of the user interface designer? The user interface designer is involved or focuses on how the website looks and the feel of the website. Focuses on how the website looks. Remember, if you have any question, just be jotting them down. Once it's time for question and answer, you ask your question. So how the website looks is also involved in the, that's the design. Like we have the architect that designs how the website should look. The
kájọ
let's say you have
pé mo gbàgbọ́ pé a ti di ọmọ
what do we
ìyá.
call it? Let's say, what website do I pick now? Let me
Jọ
use
kó gbogbo ẹ̀ papọ̀ kó lè rọrùn.
please mute yourself, or let me use
Presently, tá a bá ní ká wo ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní
some people need to mute themselves.
kò sí ìdílé tó dàbí pé
Okay,
ó
so
perfect.
Airbnb is a very interesting website where the
Ọlọ́run nìkan ló mọ̀ wá lọ́wọ́.
okay, what's that? Your production is private. What's that? Why is it saying all that? Okay, don't know why it's not opening, giving me that error. Okay, so for the sake of time, back to my class. So I said the UI designer is involved in making the designing the outlook of the website, and ensures that the website is visually appealing and consistent. So when you go to a website, there are some websites where you go to, they don't have a good interface. Let me mention an example. You have something like is it Naira Land or so. Is a yeah, it's a blogging website, of course. But you know, it doesn't have a good interface. It's just there. Just look at this. It's so, like, they didn't employ a user UI designer to work on this website, so it looks so crazy. Like you don't even know what you're doing here. So no user UI designer in this company. So maybe after this course and you go into UI, you can apply in Nairaland and propose a better design for them. So this is a terrible interface, right, for a website as compared to other websites. For example, when you go to our website, you can see our interface is much more um, appealing and attractive to the eyes. When you come, you see this rolling part, and then it opens up to the home page, and you see how it looks attractive. You you are captivated by what you see, and you want to, you see how it pops up and all that. So these are the concerns of the user interface designer, how attractive the website looks. So that's the work of the UI designer, right? And then let's look at what do they earn. I'm not going to spend so much time on this. This is in dollars. Don't worry, I'll make this slide available to you, and then you go back to see them. But generally, my interest is in the fact that there are different levels in these different roles. We have the entry level, we have the mid level, we have the senior level. This is applicable to all the roles that I'll be mentioning, and you see that their prices vary. So when you hear entry level, means that this developer just maybe just finished his learning course, and doesn't have much experience. So this is the annual income. And the same, we have the mid level, maybe someone will say 2 years or 4 years experience, and then senior designer level with a larger number of years of experience. Okay, so but let's see what is the standard requirement of a UI designer. So a UI designer have needs graphics design skills. So you need to be creative in the way you think. You need to be able to know how to work with colors, visual hierarchies, and topography. So these are the skills you need to have as a UI designer. You need to know how to work with colors, color blending. When a company gives you their logo, you will not go and be using colors outside their logos, and so on. So those are things that you pay attention to. Okay. So what are the tools that web UI designers work with? Um, some of the tools include the design and prototype tools. The softwares they use to do their designs include things like Figma, Canva, Sketch, Adobe XD, and so on. These are the tools they use to create their designs. Um, they also have graphic design tools like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop that they use to design how the website should look like. For architects, when they're designing how a building should look like, they can use something like AutoCAD or so on. So, but for UI designers, you hear things like Figma, Canva, Sketch, Adobe XD, and Adobe Illustrator, and so on. Okay, these are softwares that they use. Sorry, just to be sure I'm still with you guys. If you can see my screen, and hear me, can you indicate by raising your hand? Raising your hand, yeah. All right, we are together. That's good. That's good. Fine. All right. So, and I believe it's making sense. Okay. So, um, and so on. So there are several other softwares. So the next role is the UX designer. Many times they merge these two together, but they are not really the same thing. So the user experience designer focuses on the overall user experience. For example, UI designer can, if you are building a website, can it focuses on colors, focuses on the arts in the design, while the user experience designer focuses on the experience that the person, how easy is it for the person to access information. For example, now you go to a website like what website would I use? Let me not use. For example, now let's still see the Naira line. You see how you have to scroll down before you can access information. They have no functional or reasonable nav bar. When you come to a website like ours, you can see this menu bar. You can see where, whether it's on a mobile device or whether it's on a desktop device, you can see that it's easy for you to access information. When you come here to special offers, you can always access this. Then there is this button where you click on it, it takes you back up. These are user experience features that UX designers add to their website. So they also conduct user research and testing to understand users' needs and behavior. So when users have complained about features in websites, user experience designers go and make adjustments and give us better things. So the same level, sorry, this is meant to be UX. The same pay, you can see this here. Like I said, I'm not focusing on that yet. Okay, so what's their standard requirements? So they need skills in user research, information architecture, wireframing, and prototype. So you need to be able to pull out information about people's experiences on websites, and then alternative solutions and better solutions that makes their website look and their experience to be better. Okay, so what working tool do they use? They use research and analysis tools like user testing, Survey Monkey, Google Analytics, and for their sorry, this is meant to be their design, and this second one is meant to be their design tool. They also use Figma for their designs. When they are done with their research, they work, usually the UI and the UX, they work very close together because they are the ones that will bring the final outlook of what the website should look like. So, and these are the tools that they work with. Okay, for the UI and UX. So generally, these are the two roles that are tied to the design aspect of web design and web development. They build what the website should look like. They build what the website should look like. Someone's hand is raised. I believe maybe that's a question. Please type your question or keep your question, and once it's time for question and answer, we'll get to answer that. Okay, so I want to rush over to the so you can still go back when I release the slide to read through the other designer roles here, the graphic designer and the web designer. All right, so developer roles, these are the roles for those involved in development. So we said designers build, draw or design what the website should look like. Developers develop, they make the website to look the way it should. And when I started off in web development, I never knew of the roles of UI and UX designers because we started a bit early, and UI UX is kind of a role that's getting more popular in Nigeria and also outside. Before now, I used to um, when we are building, we do everything ourselves. We don't wait for a design before we begin to build. But as we advance in the field, we begin to appreciate the roles of a designer. They save you the stress of thinking how to structure your website. So all you do is when they've given you your design, you go ahead to develop, write the code to make the website to look the way it should look, or to behave the way it should behave. So let's look extensively at the developer roles. We'll start with the front end developer. So the front end developer builds the client side of the website that users interact with. So we said the website is broken down into two parts, the front end and the back end. So when sometimes you may see some adverts on the internet, front end developer needed. The front end developer builds the front end of the website. That is the part that the user sees and interacts with. While they make use of HTML, CSS, JavaScript to create responsive and interactive web pages. So the front end developers are the ones who are involved in making use of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They also work closely with the designers, that's we've mentioned the designers, to implement visual and interactive elements. So those things that the designers have set out to design. Yes, I skipped something. So I actually took a little time to get a clip of or not a clip, a picture of an example of a user UI UX design. So this is the UI UX of an e-commerce website. This is kind of the mobile version. This is what it looks like. So when a web front-end developer sees this, it's the duty of the front-end developer looking at this design to write the code to make you to see or have something like this in that website. So he gets the design, he knows, okay, this is what I want, this are where my nav bar should be, these are the items I should have on my nav bar, and then this is what it should look like, this should be where the money should be placed, and so on. So when he picks this design, what he needs to do is to now write the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript to make this to look exactly how it should. Okay, so and that's what I just skipped, I just remembered that. Okay, now back to my, so so here are the what the figures of what front-end developers earn in dollars. Okay, what is the standard requirement of somebody who is meant to be a front-end developer? Remember, there are still levels. There is the entry level, there is the mid level, there is the senior level. So let's know what you are expected to know as a front-end developer. Before you can call yourself a front-end developer, what should you know? You need to have a strong coding skill in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and familiarity with framework and tools like React or Angular. So these are what you need to know if you are call yourself a front-end developer, or you want to become a front-end developer. These are the directions you should focus on. And what working tools do they use for their languages? Like I said, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the languages involved in front-end development. For the code editor, what they use to write their code, they usually make use of Visual Studio Code, Sublime, Atom, and so on. These are applications they use to write their code. For the designers, like I said, they make use of Figma, Canva, Sketch, and so on. For front-end developers, they make use of Visual Studio Code, Sublime, Atom, and so on. For the frameworks, we may not have so much time to explain much about frameworks, but frameworks that they make use of are things like React, Angular, Vue.js, jQuery, Bootstrap, Sass, Less, and so on. These are frameworks that help them to integrate some features to the front end, which may not have been able to do completely with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on their own. Okay, so other tools that you may hear soft front-end developer make use of are GitHub, Node Package Manager, Webpack, Jest, and so on. There are so many tools that they make use of. We cannot stress all of them. All right, so let's look at the next row. The next row is the back-end developer. The back-end developer. Please, if you can still see, if you are following up with this class, can you indicate by raising your hand? If it's making sense, indicate by raising your hand. Let me be sure that I'm not alone in this class. No one is raising their hand. Is there a challenge? Am I alone? Okay, yes, hands are being raised. Okay, so people are following up. Beautiful. All right, so back-end developers. Who is or what is a back-end developer? Remember, we said the back-end is divided into three parts: the web server, the application logic, and the database. So generally, a back-end developer develops the server side of the website. That's just the part that has these three parts: the web server, the application logic, and the database. I explained these three parts in much more details in my previous webinar. You could still go back and look at them. If you have a question, please note them. Once it's time for asking questions, we'll respond to them. Okay. All right. So we also have, they also use programming languages like Python, Ruby, PHP, Java, C Sharp, Node.js to create logics functionalities of the website. Logic functionalities like how to handle login. Someone wants to log in or sign up, how to handle the sign up, where how to store it into their database, how to compare passwords, how to link you to another page when you have properly signed up, and so many other things. Maybe you're uploading a file into the website, how to collect that file. Maybe you are, there are so many features that are that involves programming in the back end. Okay, so the backend developer also manages the database where informations are stored. Okay, so that's the work of the backend developer, and this is what a backend developer is. Remember, I am releasing these slides for us so that we can go through them personally. But what is the standard requirement for a backend developer? So the backend developer needs strong programming skills in server-side languages. I'll still list them out. You have need to have at least a knowledge of one programming language as a backend developer. At least one programming language is enough for you. You need to understand database. You need to be able to work with database, and you need to understand the server architecture. I talked a little bit about web servers in my last webinar. The link is on the WhatsApp group. You can go back to check that. Okay, so what tools do backend developers use? The programming languages, like I said, you need to know at least one. These are examples of programming languages. Note that Java is not the same thing as JavaScript. Just making that note for you. So Java, Python, C Sharp, PHP, Ruby, Node.js. These are the programming examples of programming languages you make use of for your application logic or for the program writing the logic. Okay, and these the make use of code editors, almost the same. I just added Visual Studio here. Visual Studio is not the same with Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio is actually an IDE, integrated development environment or developer environments for building much more complex applications with a lot of frameworks pre-installed in them. That's Visual Studio. Okay, then for the frameworks and libraries involved in backend, for this Java you have Spring framework. For Python you have Django. The Python has another one, I can't remember the name. It's escaping me. Um, Okay, maybe if I remember, I'll talk about that later. So ASP.NET for C Sharp, Laravel for PHP. PHP also has another framework too. Ruby on Rails for Ruby. Okay, so those are some of the frameworks involved in backend. Some other working tools involved in backend. Of course, you need to know database, like we said, MySQL, MSSQL, Postgre, MongoDB, etc. And then you need to also there are some other API software like Postman, Swagger for building of APIs, and then other tools like GitHub, NPM, and so on. These are the things that back-end developers make use of. All right. If you are still following, can you indicate by raising your hand? Let's be sure we are together. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. All right. So the next is the full stack developer. Who is a full stack developer? A full stack developer has skills in both front end and back end development. When you hear someone is a full stack developer, is someone who can do both front end and back end development, capable of building a complete web application from start to finish. Actually, this is where I fall in. I am a full stack developer by career or by practice. Let me use that word practice. Though personally, I incline more to the back end. If we are to be in a corporate setting, working when I work with a team, I stick to the back end. I allow my guys to build the front end. But when I'm working alone, I'm a full stack developer. I can be able to build both the front end and the back end. So a full stack developer understands both the client side and server side aspects of the web development, and we've talked about that. Understands both front end and back end. Okay, so this is the entry level, mid level, senior full stack dev level, and their pay. Okay, so what working tool do they make use of? Of course, the working tool they make use of is a combination of the front end and the back end. So I don't need to go listing them. A full stack developer makes use of everything a front end developer makes use of everything a back end developer makes use of. So no need to go through all that. So whoever calls himself a full stack developer does both the front end and the back end. If you're a front end, you focus on front end. If you're back end, you focus on back end. If you're full stack, you focus on full stack. All right. So these are other rules. I may not be able to go through all this. You can still read them. Project manager, these are usually people who oversee the whole building of a project, of a website. Content strategists, those who focus on the contents to put on a website. Search engine optimization, maybe one day I will do a webinar on search engine optimization. That is what makes your website to become visible on the internet. Some people think that the moment they launch their website, you see it on the internet immediately. That's not true. There are search engine optimization um, things you need to do to make your website to be seen by a search engine. And there are those who test the website and those who analyze the website. So these are other roles. I cannot go into all this in this short class. All right. So how do designers and developers earn? I will try to be fast. How do they earn? We've seen the amounts that they earn, but we want to know how do they earn? What do they do to earn? The first one is employment, for them to get employed, either a full-time or part-time job or a remote job. That is working under somebody as a staff. And then for you to be able to do that, they can get that by either there are some websites or some applications or some websites that you make yourself visible. One of the very important one is LinkedIn. Let's say, for example, you've learned a skill, you need to package yourself and set up your profile in LinkedIn as mention what you are, and then surprisingly once you do that, you begin to see different offers coming up. It's now left for you to begin to apply for them. You see opportunities like that in LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, GitHub Jobs, and so on. That's one of the places you can get a job in any of these roles that we've talked about. You can also follow two tech company websites. You can, go to websites, Google websites, depending on where you want to work, Microsoft. Keep following through their websites. You may see that they have job offers. You could even send emails directly to them and then tell them this is who you are, this is your CV. Of course, you have to prepare your resume and then projects that you've done and so on. And then if there's a job offer, they will tell you and then tell you how to apply. Another one is through recruitment agencies. There are several recruitment agencies that other companies liaise with these agencies to employ people. So they will give you tests that you need to write, and when you do this, they would give you the opportunity to they'll give you the job opportunity. And then networking, connecting yourself into communities. For example, on this WhatsApp group that we are, we'll be posting information about some things like this. And then from there, you can know, okay, a job offer is here, you can get that job offer, of course, through social media and so on. Sorry, I'm rushing, trying to stick to 1 hour. And other methods of the earn is from freelancing. What is freelancing? Freelancing is you are not working under a person, you are self-employed. You package yourself as a developer and you seek out for jobs. um Somebody wants to build a website, you tell the person I can do this for you. Somebody wants to do a design, you tell the person I can do this for you. You can either do it by talking to the person face to face. That's usually contract work. Someone can call you over the phone, or you advertise your services on your social media handle. Hey, I'm a front end developer, or I'm a full stack developer. And then or on platforms like Upwork and Fiverr, and you get to have such opportunities to learn. Okay, so that's an example. Okay, this meeting is ending in the next 10 minutes. I'll need to rush so that I can say one or two things, and then I will drop another link where we'll do a question and answer. So I'll need to finish up before um, that time is up. Okay. So um, other opportunities are um, through developing and selling products. So you can develop a special product. For example, we have we have a school website structure which we sell to software, sorry, a school website application which we sell to schools. It's already designed. You can just readjust it to your own school. We sell it to schools. So you can design a product as a developer. Once you are done, it's usually full stack developers that can do this. Once you are done, you can design um, you can design any product, special product, and you sell it. Not just products, you can build, for example, this Figma design I showed you guys. You can build it and sell it. You can build templates, you can build APIs, plugins, and there are other platforms you can find how to sell what you've built. Okay, you can also work with platforms like GitHub sponsors and patrons for open source donations. You can go into blogging and writing about software development. And finally, you can go into, or not finally, you can also teach. Teaching this course, just like platforms like, what's it called? Udemy, they teach, they have a lot of teachers there. So you can even apply to teach on platforms like Udemy, and you'll be taught, or you learn how to um, code there. Okay, sorry, you teach on that platform, and you get paid. And then licensing and royalties and so on, affiliate marketing. All right, so this is um it. So because this meeting is about to okay, let me just try and finish up. So how do you begin as a developer? This meeting is logging out in the next 8 minutes. I am tempted to drop to close this particular link now, so that we can join up with the next link in the next sorry, in the next how many minutes, in the next 5 minutes. I'm posting a link now so that we can um join up with that link. Okay, so some people are still joining up with this one. Is about to close, so just give me a minute, let me type. Oh, okay, so I am dropping the link right now. um so just stay tuned for that. Don't Just everybody now should look out for their WhatsApp. I'm dropping the link to the next class right now, so everybody should look out, because I'm not done with my slide, and this class will be logged out right now. So once we join that link, we won't take more than 20 minutes and we'll be done. So I'm closing this. Everybody should join up to the next one I'm sending right now. Okay. All right. So how do you begin as a
Yes, we can
designer
continue.
or a developer? We have looked at the roles involved in design and development. We've looked at um, how much they earn. We've looked at how they earn. Though we kind of rushed through all this, but we finally want to look at how you can begin as either a designer or a developer, because that's also very important. How do you make that choice? How do you start? Where do you start from? Is usually the question. Okay, so the first thing to do, you have to choose a path. There are so many roles that we mentioned. You have to choose where you start from, but usually it's very difficult to choose, because somebody will say, okay, how do I choose where I want to start from? We will still talk about that. Okay, and then the second thing is that you need to learn and or develop your skill in that role. We've mentioned the different roles that are in development and in design. You need to learn one of these roles before you can be able to earn. You cannot learn without earning. I mean, you cannot earn without learning. So you need to learn one of these roles in development. And then the third thing is to seek for a job through any of these mediums that we have mentioned. when I release the slide, you can go back and look at the slides to see those um, ways to earn from any of these roles. So the first thing, like we said, is to choose a career. Choose a career path. Do I want to become a UI UX? Do I want to become a front end? Do I want to become a back end? Do I want to become a full stack developer? Which of these? And so I said usually there is this question: how do I choose a career path? How do I choose a career path? How do I know whether I'm better in front end? How do I know whether it's UI UX I should do, since I have no idea of this? Or some of us have been struggling in a particular field, we don't know whether that is where we should continue in. How do you choose a career? I'm going to give this answer based on my experience in handling different types of students. I've taught students of different levels and different ages. I've taught students, I teach kids from 7 years and above, I teach adults, and I know, and being a full stack developer, having an idea of design and development in all aspects, I know what it means and how and what it takes to choose. So from my experience, this is my solution. You need to test and learn. What do I mean by test and learn? The best way to know where you fit in is by learning possibly about everything. I'll say that again. The best way to choose where to fit in is by learning possibly about everything. Usually when you go into a department in higher institution, you learn about different sub departments. When you are doing a master's program, you are focusing on one department. You need to have an idea of everything before you can, when you've gone through the system, when you started learning front end, you will know, okay, and then when you go into back end, you discover, oh, I really love front end more than back end. I'll stick to the front end. Or when you've learned front end and you've learned back end, you will see, oh, I prefer back end than front end. And then you focus there. But when you just, go head on, learn front end, you may not really know if your passion is more in back end. And it's not good to focus on something you don't have passion for. So for me, the best way to choose a career path is to test by learning. You have to take that bold step and learn everything. And when I say everything, for me, I would say go and do a course in full stack development, possibly, where you see everything about um, these different roles. Okay, that's my solution. Now, with that, I want to introduce an apprenticeship learning structure that helps people to learn effectively, because another challenge about it is where to learn and the best way to learn. People have tried to learn, I'm sure some of us here have tried to learn development, web development, on different platforms in different ways, and we've not made headway. I want to introduce an apprenticeship learning structure. And this learning structure is a structure that has worked because of what reasons? It's a better approach to learning. You learn from
tó ti fi
an
àdúrà sùn ní
experienced teacher, so you will not spend time doing those things, making those mistakes that you would have made if you are learning alone, or if you are learning from someone who just started out.
fún
Learning
lélẹ́yìí
from an experienced teacher will save you the time of knowing which language to choose, will save you the time of knowing which
ó ti
software
kán
to
náà
use, which plugin to use. Learning from an experienced
pọ́pọ́
teacher
ìwọ
will save
lélẹ́yìí
you the time of
okay
knowing the updates to use. Another thing is to learn by practice.
lẹ́yìn
One
pẹ́pẹ́
of
máa
the
tó
things we see, someone needs to mute himself. One of the things we see as a challenge is when you are trying to learn, you are just learning the theories, but you are not practicing. In the apprenticeship system, you see how to learn, you will be learning by work, building real projects. And then another one is to have a mentor you can always rely on. It's always difficult when you are learning, watching videos, and you don't have a teacher. You don't have someone to ask questions. You don't have a someone to lean on to guide you. But in an apprentice system, you have a mentor who you can always turn to guide you. And with that, I want to introduce something very important to you guys before we take our questions and answer, and that is how you can begin your apprentice journey. I would like to introduce very I'm excited to actually introduce this training that is coming up starting tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, May 27th, is a full stack web apprentice course where we'll be learning full stack web full stack web development from the scratch for a period of 3 months. And we are using the apprenticeship system where you'll be learning from my years of experience. And we'll be building two important websites from the scratch: an e-commerce website and a school portal, a school website, an e-commerce website and the school website. The duration is for 3 months, and the teaching pattern is pre-recorded videos. I'll be releasing videos twice a week which you'll be watching, and then we'll be having live classes on Mondays and Thursdays, where you come to ask questions, where you come to test run your codes, and then we'll be sure that everybody is learning. Okay, that's the medium. Okay, so what's the outline of the course? Being full stack web development, we are going to look carefully at the front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and we're going to work with Bootstrap framework for enhancing our front end. Then we are going to look at the back end, and we are going to work with ASP.NET C Sharp framework for our application logic, an entity framework which is going to cover for MS SQL, which for our back end and our database. And then we are going to be learning how to host a website, and then we would see when we are done, when we will now implement all we have learned by building from the scratch an e-commerce website, the likes of Jumia, the likes of Konga, the likes of AliExpress. We're going to build out from the scratch. Then we are going to develop again a school management website from the scratch, and we are working with ASP.NET Core, the most recent framework, the .NET 8.0. For those who know what I'm talking about, that's the framework we're going to be working with. This is a framework that is on high demand in many tech companies in Nigeria and outside the country. um, is on high demand. Because of time, I cannot go into that. I know so many companies in Nigeria and outside Nigeria that employ people that know this framework. You can browse and find out about that. Okay, and then we are going to look at web development entrepreneurship. We began to talk about some of these things, how to turn your skills into a source of income. We're going to talk about that in this 3 months training. We're going to look at how you can um, set prices for your jobs and how to seek out for jobs. These are the things we are going to look at in the course of this 3 months training that is kicking off tomorrow. And the cost of this training has been hugely subsidized by Chidono Limited to 18,000. Has been hugely subsidized by Chidono Limited to 18,000. That's the cost of this training, and it's kicking off tomorrow. And for those of us who were part of the last webinar, I gave a personal offer to them that is ending this night. That's a personal offer. This one is from me, the instructor, where I further subsidized this training to an amount, and that is ending this night. But for those of us, because we are not able to join the last webinar and you are joining us today, um, that offer for them is ending this night. If you are interested to cash in to that offer, is a discount beyond this 18,000. You can chat us up privately. That offer is ending this night. However, for those who won't be able to respond this night, um, the offer I'm offering personally for those who are joining this webinar between now and um, 4 p.m. Sorry, okay, the class is starting by 4 p.m. Yeah, between now and 4 p.m. tomorrow, from those who are in this class, in this webinar, if you want to kick off with us, I'm personally subsidizing this for those of us here to pay 12,500 and above. Those of us who are in this webinar to join this class. We have a lot of people who this is not the first time we are running this training. We have some old students who are on our WhatsApp community who can testify and show you clips of the last class that we did. So this is a hugely subsidized course, and it's something that you are not going to regret being part of, I assure you. So with this, I bring my um, class to an end, and I am opening up the line for questions. In the next few minutes, we are going to be taking questions. Okay, so at this point, stop sharing my screen. Or okay, I'm still sharing my screen, but you can see me if you choose to. All right, so the floor is open for questions. If you have questions, please can we politely and do by raising our hands. If you have a question, use the hand icon to raise your hand. Question based on what we've taught, question based on what's disconnecting the network. Okay, question based on what we've taught, question based on what I just said right now. If you have a question, please indicate by raising your hand. All right. I have just one hand up. Is it just one person that has a question? Okay, I'm seeing. Okay, so I'm going to start with Daniel Egogo. Daniel Egogo, please can you unmute yourself and ask your question quickly?
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Yeah, good
And
evening.
thank you for this detailed and explanatory webinar. Please, I want to ask, okay, number one, I don't have background in any of this at all, like anything tech related, anything science related, all this coding and stuff. I mean, I really don't have any background in it. So, please, how difficult is this going to be, or how easy do you think it's going to be? You understand?
Okay.
Because I've been hearing about this, coding that, and a lot of people have been telling me that it's not easy and all. So I just want to know, how difficult it is or how easy it's going to be. That is the very first question I want to ask. Then, please, in the previous
Webinar.
class where before the link expired, you were dropping the slides of how much they earn. I don't know if you could do this again. But yes. No. This same one, but with the previous link, you were dropping the slides. Please, could you kindly drop the slides again so
Of
that I'll
course, I'm going to
see
drop the slide
what
from
they earn
today's
and all.
class.
That is, if you don't mind. Thank
Yes, I
you.
am. I'm going to drop the slide from today's class. And then to answer your question of how difficult or how easy it is, it's not going to be easy. But usually, one of the challenges people have, like I said, is how they learn. When you go through the right learning process and you are enthusiastic and disciplined to learn, you'll be able to learn full stack development, because first of all, you don't need a prior knowledge um, for what you're about to learn. You don't need to have any prior knowledge. All you need to have is for you to be ready to learn and for you to connect to the right learning system or the right learning structure. And we've tried this learning system and structure on people, and it has worked. Learning from the experience of the teacher, learning by learning practicing by building a real project. When we build this e-commerce website and this school website, you will be able to build any kind of website, because you work with things that are features that you see in almost every other website. So when you've built something by seeing it in real practice, I believe that makes a whole lot of difference, and you don't see such opportunities at this amount anywhere. You don't see such opportunities at this amount anywhere. Okay, so all you need to do is to take the bull by the horn and get into this journey, and you will see that those fears will be doused by the time you begin the first few days into the class. Okay, thank you, Mr. Daniel. Let me take Dario Odunayo.
All right, thank you so much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Dario Odunayo,
All right. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. My question is, you said, or on the flyer rather, I saw that the class will be starting tomorrow on
Yes.
27th.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, like, what time will the training be for those that, some of us that have to go to work and come back like around 4 or 5, like how flexible will it be for someone that is working in order for us to be able to engage in the class session so that we don't miss out? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, the starting time for tomorrow is 4 p.m., but we want to use the opportunity to familiarize with our students and get to a standard time that everybody can work with. However, it's difficult to get to the best time for everybody. That's why we adopt a system of pre-recorded videos and post-recorded videos. Post-recorded videos is that we also record the videos of our live classes and make it available on the dashboard. In our last training, we ran completely with live classes. We did not have pre-recorded videos. And many people were missing the classes, and yet they were able to learn because the classes were recorded and they went through it one step at a time, and they still have access to it for life. It's theirs. Anytime they want to, they can go back to it. So if for whatever reason you happen to miss it, whether it's because of work or health or whatever, the classes, both the live classes are recorded and you can access it via the dashboard. So I don't think that's actually a challenge. Okay. All right, let me take Samuel Dare Femi.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening, Samuel.
Yeah, one of my questions has been asked by Dairo,
Okay.
but the second question is about the learning. I want to ask that on the code, can we run it on our phone? Is there a way of can run it on our phone for like someone like me that I don't have access to a system like this, except at the office, and probably I might have closed or I might be busy using my system for the work office activities that I might not be able to run it directly on the system. So is there a way I can run it on my phone?
All right. When you are building a website, you'll be building for both a phone and a desktop. It's difficult to do everything on a phone, though there are applications that have tried to compress these things on phones, but it's difficult to really have the best of it. Laptop is more effective, and we are running this training with a laptop, and we expect the students to have a laptop. Now, remember I said the class is pre-recorded, and the live classes are also recorded. Once you have access to that and you're in the office, you can connect to your dashboard and set up all you need to do, set up on that system. Whenever you want to practice, you can practice. You can watch the videos from your phone and practice on the computer. Okay, so we're just going to be downloading a one software that we're going to use to work on. That's Visual Studio. We're going to work with it, and just that, and then we'll be able to go ahead to do all we need to do. All right, so let me take Thank God Oluchukwu.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, evening.
Mm, Sorry, my question is like, are we doing front end and back end here, or only front end?
It's full stack. It's full stack. That means we are doing front end, back end completely. Full stack from the front end to the back
Okay,
end. Everything about the building of the website.
okay. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Mr. Michael Udeme. Mr. Michael, I thought he raised his hand. Can't hear you.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
Please, okay, yeah, please. My question is about the full stack. Can you run The training, will it be able to run on a Mac OS? Because what I use is a Mac. I use a MacBook, so I want to confirm if it can run on a Mac OS, or I need to have a Windows.
No, you don't need to have a Windows. What you need to have is the application has can be installed on a Mac OS. Visual Studio runs on a Mac OS. You
Okay,
don't need to have a
okay,
Windows. Yes.
okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. Okay. Sorry. Before I take that way again, there are two questions I've seen as a text. Somebody asked, full stack development and software development, which one is better? Software development is a broad term. There are so many types of software that we have in the computer age. A web application or a website is a type of a software, right? You have games. Games are software. Desktop applications are software, and so on, right? So web application is a type of software. So you can't really say, if someone says a software developer, like I call myself a software developer because I don't just build websites, I build other type of applications, mobile application, desktop applications, and so on. So a software developer can build not just a website, but a web developer is one who is building particularly a website. But when you have the knowledge of being able to work on especially the back end of a website, you can be able to delve into other fields in other software development and be able to build any type of application, especially once you've grounded yourself in the aspect of application logic and database. All right, let me take Dario again.
All right. Um, I think Michael has asked some of my question, but I wanted to ask about the computer specification now. Which type do you think will fit for the program in terms of specification? Thank
Okay,
you.
preferably and not preferably, it has to be a Windows 10. It has to have a Windows 10 operating system. That's for if you are using Windows. Can be less than Windows 10, and preferably with a 4 gig RAM and above. Okay. Yes. Then
All right. Thank you.
yes. Abimbola, can you have a question?
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
So, what I want to ask is that about the training, is there any other training that is physical, like apart from the online training? Is there any other training which is physical, and how can we get that?
A physical training. There are
Yes.
physical. We do run physical trainings here in our office, but this particular training is specific on web development. If you want to have a physical training, you can chat us up privately. Okay. Yeah, you can chat us up privately. And someone also asked. Sorry, let me open that message. Didn't see that well. Someone asked, would there be another? Okay. Someone asked, are we getting discounts today? I think I've mentioned the discounts already. There's a discount from the last webinar, which is ending by 11:59 today. A discount for them ending by 11:59 today. So those ones, if you want to know that, you can chat us up privately. But for you guys who are here, the cost is at 18,000, but I'm personally discounting it for you from now till 4 p.m. tomorrow to pay 12,005. And for you to do that, when I'll drop the slide in the group, I'll also, this class, we'll get it out, it's being recorded, we'll also drop it. They will also drop the account details for those who want to start making payments, even from this night. We'll also drop that on the WhatsApp group. You are not we encourage you guys to stick to the WhatsApp group to keep getting more information as the class or as every other thing unfolds. So that the discount for the paying 12,005 and above ends by 4 p.m. tomorrow. and it's for me. It's from me. Okay. All right. So um, is there any other question? In the absence of any other question, I personally would want everybody who have gone through this um, webinar to take advantage of being part of this apprentice course. Take advantage of being part of this apprentice course. It's starting tomorrow. It's something you should not miss. It will change the trajectory of your life. It will give you another opportunity to a new source of income. And then you can ask questions and know more about this. Chat us up personally or privately. And we are going to be opening the group up for further discussions. Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much. We would.
I think there's still a question. There's still a question there.
Okay, there's still a question.
Somebody was asking, yeah, somebody was asking, will there be another cohort?
Will there be another what?
Cohort. Will there be another cohort after this one? Somebody was asking that he might not be able to join the training. That
If you're
will there
having
be another
issues
cohort?
with that, if you're having issues with being able to join this one, you also chat us up privately. I can't tell of when another one is going to be holding. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes. So if you're having issues, you chat us up privately. All right. Thank you guys very much for your time. Nice having you guys, and I look forward to having all of you who have been part of this training to be in our web apprentice class starting tomorrow. All right. Thank you guys so much, and that's my time.